Did you know the first paper money ever used in Canada wasn't money at all? It was a playing card. In the 17th century, soldiers in French North America were actually paid using playing cards signed by colonial officials. No coins, no gold, just a simple card with a value written on the back. And strangely enough, that unusual solution would become the beginning of more than 350 years of Canadian monetary history. Back in 1645, the colony of New France was facing a serious problem. There simply weren't enough coins in circulation. Ships carrying silver from France were often delayed, but soldiers still needed to be paid for their service. So the intendant of New France came up with a creative solution. He took ordinary playing cards, signed the back of them, assigned each card a monetary value, and used them to pay the troops. Those cards would later be exchanged for real coins when shipments finally arrived from France. But for a short time, playing cards became the very first form of paper money used in North America. As the colonies grew over the following decades, the need for a more stable currency also grew. But instead of one unified system, Canada ended up with a confusing mix of different types of money. People used army bills, bank tokens, gold coins, and British sterling coins. In some towns, several different currencies circulated at the same time. Imagine trying to buy something when every merchant accepted a different type of money. By the mid-1800s, trade between Canada and the United States was expanding rapidly, and this growing trade exposed a major problem. Each Canadian province had its own currency. This made cross-border trade difficult and inefficient. Merchants constantly had to convert between different currencies, which slowed economic growth. Canada clearly needed a single national monetary system. That opportunity finally came in 1867. When Canada officially became a country through Confederation. With the creation of the Dominion of Canada, the federal government gradually began taking control of the country's currency system. Laws started changing so that the government, rather than individual banks, would have authority over issuing money. A major step forward came with the Bank Act of 1871. This legislation helped establish a national banking framework and place tighter controls on how banks could issue currency. It laid the groundwork for a more stable and unified financial system across the country. But Canada still didn't have a true central authority managing its money. That wouldn't happen until 1903. In that year, the Bank of Canada was officially created. Its role was to regulate the country's money supply and promote the economic and financial stability. Why of Canada? The first governor of the Bank of Canada was Graham Ford Towers. Under his leadership, the bank released its first official series of banknotes in 1935. These notes ranged in value from $1 all the way up to $1,000. Over time, banknotes issued by private chartered banks were gradually replaced by Bank of Canada notes, and by 1944, the Bank of Canada became the sole issuer of Canadian paper money. But paper money is only half the story. Canadian coins are produced by the Royal Canadian Mint, with a major production facility located in Winnipeg. Interestingly, the Royal Canadian Mint doesn't only produce coins for Canada. Over the years, it has also manufactured coins for many other countries around the world. Before Confederation, early fur traders in Canada mostly used British sterling coins. But after Canada officially became a nation in 1867, things began to change. At first, coins from the former colonies of the province of Canada, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick continued to circulate. But as more provinces joined Confederation, those colonial coins were gradually replaced by a national Canadian currency. In 1870, Canada issued its first official national coinage. These coins came in denominations of 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents, and 50 cents. Each coin featured the image of Queen Victoria on one side, while the other side displayed the value and date surrounded by a maple wreath. The 1-cent coin, better known as the penny, didn't appear until 1876. Over time, the designs of Canadian coins evolved to reflect national symbols and identity. Today, many coins feature iconic Canadian imagery such as wildlife, ships like the Bluenose schooner, and the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. But one of the most unique coins ever produced by Canada appeared much later. In 2004, the Royal Canadian Mint introduced a special 25-cent coin, featuring a red poppy in the center of a maple leaf. The poppy is a powerful symbol of remembrance for fallen soldiers in Canada. And this coin was historic for another reason. It became the first colored coin ever released into general circulation anywhere in the world. Over the years, Canadian currency has gone through several major changes. Some banknotes disappeared entirely. The $1 and $2 bills were eventually replaced by coins, which Canadians now know as the loonie and the toonie. The $1,000 banknote was also removed from circulation. Authorities discovered that these high-value notes were often being used for money laundering and organized crime. So the government decided to eliminate them entirely. Another interesting detail about Canadian banknotes is their size. Before 1935, Canadian banknotes were about 30% larger than they are today. But in 1954, the dimensions were standardized to make printing more efficient and reduce production cost. You might think redesigning banknotes every few decades is mainly about giving them a fresh look, but the real reason is security. As technology evolves, so do counterfeiters. In fact, in 2004, Canada experienced a peak in counterfeit banknotes, with more than 500,000 fake bills detected in circulation. To combat this, new banknote designs began incorporating advanced security features, such as serial numbers, raised ink, holograms, and hidden images. These features made it much harder for counterfeiters to reproduce Canadian money. Another important change came in 1986, when Canadian banknotes were redesigned to help visually impaired individuals better identify different denominations. Earlier in history, Canadian banknotes were also printed in separate languages. When the first series of Bank of Canada notes was released in 1935, there were separate English and French versions. Later designs became fully bilingual, so they could be used equally across the entire country. Then in 2011, Canada introduced one of the most significant innovations in modern currency: polymer banknotes. Unlike traditional paper money, these banknotes are made from a special plastic material. Polymer notes are more durable, last longer in circulation, and are significantly harder to counterfeit. They also allow for advanced security features, including transparent windows and complex holographic elements. Today, these polymer banknotes are considered some of the most secure banknotes in the world. But even as currency evolves, some familiar coins eventually disappear. In 2012, Canada officially stopped producing the 1-cent coin. The final penny was minted on May 4th, 2012. The reason was simple. It cost more to manufacture a penny than the coin was actually worth. After nearly 140 years in circulation, the penny quietly became a part of Canadian history. From playing cards used as emergency money in the 17th century to advanced polymer banknotes used today, the story of Canadian currency reflects the evolution of the country itself. Every coin and every banknote carries a small piece of Canada's past, and the money sitting in your wallet right now might be part of that story.